All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Blindside Blitz, where takes are sharp, the energy is high, and the football drama never stops. This week, we're diving headfirst into the chaos stirred up by the Thanksgiving Day slate and wild weekend of NFL action that just took place. It shook up the playoff races across the league and much more. Brandon Ayuk, is he on the outs now with the Niners? Sure as hell looks like it. Plus, I'll be giving you my top 6 Thanksgiving sides. And because no football feast is complete without the real MVPs on their dinner table, let's get into it. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Blindside Blitz. Right there is my co-host, Joe DeCapita, and I am Mr. Jim McFee here. Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
What is going on? Yet again, another week goes by. There's ups, there's downs, there's teams that have upsets. You know, Cowboys beat the Eagles. Wait a second. What year is this, by the way? Because I'm a little confused on what exactly is happening. Man, we're going to dive all into that and more. Where do you want to begin, man?
Let's talk about the Brandon Ayuk situation. Let's just dive into that real quick, right? All of a sudden, this has become a topic, right? It's just a juicy tidbit out of nowhere, right? Because we haven't even heard about Brandon Ayuk in forever because, again, he's injured. The 49ers just continuing on, trying to get healthier. Haven't seen the Ayuk and everything. And we know about the drama that went down before during the contract talks and things like that. And there was injuries discussed then and value, and they didn't want to give him a bigger deal. They bring him in, and lo and behold, there he is, injured. And now we're seeing this shakedown here. Joe, give us the tidbits.
It's very interesting because this whole back and forth battle, if you will, from the 49ers organization to Brandon Ayuk and how they wanted to go about everything. They get a new deal done last year. And before he even asked for a trade, he was really like adamant about maybe even getting out of San Francisco. But now here we are a year later. And quite honestly, it's way past, I feel like, his due date to be back on the football field. I mean, injury normally doesn't take a couple years for it to heal. So something else was brewing, right? So here we are now. We're getting reports out of San Francisco that not only are they maybe very closely in line for a divorce, but the 49ers went ahead and said, "Hey, what the hell's taking so long with your injury? We're expecting you back by now, and you're still not here. You keep telling us that you're not ready." So guess what? This is happening. We're going to void all your guarantees on your contract. So now there is no more guarantees. Now, Brandon Ayuk, if he does in fact get hurt, guess what? You're not going to continue to get those payments like you were before. So now this all heading to the tip of the spear now, going into this offseason, which was already going to be nuts, is now just getting even worse. So Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers seem to be odds end at this point, knowing that a player of Brandon Ayuk's caliber is no longer getting guaranteed money on his contract. Yeah, I could say it's fair to say that he'll be a free agent by the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Joe. And again, I know there's a bunch of teams that are going to go out there for him. Absolutely. I mean, because he does bring stuff to the table. It's just they were always focused on, he wanted bigger money, like number one money. And that's they were just like, well, we were clearly not that really to us right now at this point. Although they were easily able to move on from Deebo Samuel and try and invest in their newer, wide receiver and Ricky Parasol and others there. So invest in George Kittle here a key cog to their offense and how they're running too in that tight end position. And it is funny. They've been doing this cat and mouse game for so long. And then it comes down to this. But the 49ers, they're not afraid to do this, right? They're not afraid to make these changes and do these, to do the tough moves, and I feel it's crucial for them to move on with what they want to do and move forward. You've seen what they've already done here and bringing in Mac Jones and getting that franchise going and keeping them in winning ways. And allowing for Brock Purdy and the rest of his team to get back and get healthy, even though Brock Purdy last week too looked absolutely horrible, and they were lucky to get out of there with a win. But they could use somebody of Ayuk's stature here, on that wide receiver position too, because they weren't exactly ready and able to push the ball down the field either. They did struggle in that matter. And it seems like it's been, Christian McCaffrey all day here for this team pushing it. So that is a factor here. But like I said, the 49ers seem like they don't care. They're not afraid to just, work these contracts and do what they need to get
Well, it's
done to move
pretty
forward.
easy when you void all guarantees because your player isn't coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it a
Yeah.
pretty easy decision. There's no financial penalty for it.
No way.
So, yeah, I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. Now, by voiding those guarantees, and now you can reinvest that money into someone else, maybe like Juwan Jennings, who's due to be a free agent at the end of the year. Maybe they're going to reinvest in him, keeping him around because you've seen some of the plays that he's been making. Just the absolute juggernaut of a wide receiver who's really killing it on the football field. You look at the game against the Panthers recently about how three guys, not one, not two, but three guys had an opportunity to tackle him at the 5-yard line right around there, and he just powered through all of them and scored the touchdown. So,
Yeah.
uh, I think the what I will say is I think that John Lynch and the 49ers have watched Juwan Jennings grow from a player who once started as a backup for them and has now emerged as a premier starter, and they're like, "Oh, you know what? Brandon Ayuk's kind of expendable."
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Again, they just know how to get talent too, Joe, and it doesn't matter where they're drafted; they can just pick it up. And like I said, in free agency, they're stars there as well. So, we'll see how it unfolds and see where he ends up going. When the chips are laid out on the table.
Mhm.
All right, let's get back into some of the weekend games here before we get into our Thanksgiving Day games and the setup for all that. But I think one crucial thing kind of stood out to me this weekend that I focused on is, again, fourth down conversions, right? What is up with coaches now that they feel that it's just necessary or the norm to just go for it whenever the frig they want? Like you try to
It's the
back it up with your analytics and all this other stuff or whatever like that. But I'm
yeah.
telling you, analytics don't tell you when it's like fourth and long or whatever, and you're in scoring position. You're up by 3. You have the opportunity to go to up by 6 and
Mhm.
force the next team with under 2 minutes to go to march down the field to have to score a touchdown to win, and something in your brain says, "Hey, we're going for it." That is just
Yeah.
not smart coaching at all. It's not smart football. Take the points and then have your defense stop. Not put your defense in a worse position to where you're going to miss it possibly, potentially, and only need 3 points. Nowadays with the kickers, they're kicking it from 60 plus almost 70 yards right now.
Basically, right?
So it's a gimme right now at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the kickers have definitely improved over the years for sure. I mean, obviously they've been working on their legs, trying to get them stronger, trying to be able to kick the football farther, and we see that now in today's game of the NFL. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what the kickers are getting paid for, right? Like you're supposed to lean on them when you want to get points, and you can't, reach the end zone, whatnot. But I gotta say, like this whole fourth down movement, this trend that's going on with coaches, where never before, I will say this: when I first started watching football, probably went into my teens, right, and I'm watching the game back then. No, this would never happen. Coaches never went for on fourth down. It didn't matter if it was 4th and 1. Very rarely did they pull the trigger and go for it on fourth down. Now we're just going for it midfield in our own side of the field. Like it's absolutely crazy. So for the NFL, for the coaches now, they have gotten a lot more aggressive with going for it on fourth down, not worried about the repercussions that if you don't get it, now you're setting the opponent up for a great drive and possibly scoring drive. So, I gotta say, every coach in the NFL is looking too far into analytics. They're looking too far into percentages, like because that's what it's all broken down to now. Jim is everybody's looking at analytics. Everybody's leaning on the percentages of what yard line what's the percentage of going for it on fourth down and 4 here or down at the other end? Like,
Mhm.
it's gotten too far gone now. Now everybody's so aggressive and it's common now.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
and it's
But you
one
don't,
time
like
to
you said,
be
you don't want to set
Mm.
your defense up in a bad situation, especially when you already have the lead.
Yeah, yeah. There's times to be aggressive, and with the lead in a tight game, when you have points right there, that's pretty much a gimme. Let's say where they, I'm talking about the Giants specifically
Yeah.
again, and the Jaguars again. You're in a tight game. It's been chippy back and forth, kind of, grind out, not exactly back and forth like scoring. It was just lights out scoring. It was just a tough matchup, grinded out, defensive, stopping here and there in just a grind out game, tough to manage points. I mean, the Giants ended up pulling out a trick play to Jameis Winston. Winston looking phenomenal as a wide receiver, breaking tackles, by the way, for the score. But when you have an opportunity to go up by 6 and it's minimal time left, and that team, you're forcing that team to get a touchdown. And it's the Detroit Lions, by the way. I mean, you're lucky you're in that position right now. Do not sniff at the points that you have there given to you. When you get down there, take whatever you can get, right? And this is why they are where they are, and why their record is what it is. Why now they just fired yet another coach in Shane Bowen, the defensive coach, which the coordinator, which it's been weeks that we've already called about this. I'm like, hello,
Yeah.
like the Maras are all of a sudden behind, in the times. They're like, what's going on?
I think
Yeah,
the
now it's
Maras were
time.
watching our show
Now
and we
it's
were talking
time.
about it.
Right. But again and again, when it's you put the team in that position, that decision is on Kafka again. And this is why I am so damn afraid about what they're thinking and what they're doing and what they think of Mike Kafka moving forward with his trial run here as head coach, that they love him so much and all this other stuff, that he's going to make these decisions and they're terrible decisions. And they're just going to be like, well, I like what he stands for, the way he talks to everybody. We're going forward with this. And that scares the daylights out of me.
Yeah, there's a problem with coaches having too much power. And we've seen it through the course of history of the NFL. We've seen it with Bill Belichick. We've seen it with Bill Parcells. We've seen it with a plethora of coaches that have demanded the power to be not only just the head coach, but also at times the GM, to be able, or to even have some major say in the direction of the football team, whether it be personnel or even the draft. And now we're at a point where, like, there's a lot more coaches now that say, "Hey, I can definitely turn your team around. Give me the reins. Let me run everything, or let me at least have end end all be all say in what decision should be made." So it's difficult because when you have that too much power, as some movies will tell you, like,
Mhm.
with a lot of power comes great responsibility. And that
Yeah.
still holds true in the NFL, because a lot of times these coaches are so strung out because not only are they the head coach of an organization, but on top of it, they also got to work and do the front office duties as well if they have that power, and it takes away from coaching. That's why you got hired. And
Mhm.
that turns into bad decisions. That turns into bad drafting. Like, you
Yeah.
can't give too much power to the head coach, and it's been done time and time again, and it needs to stop. When you hire a GM, let him handle his duties, let the head coach be the head coach of the team, and make the calls on the field.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I felt the same way with the Jaguars and the Cardinals game. Again, a really tight game that the Jags needed, right? And the Cardinals shouldn't even kind of bet in this game, right? You're thinking
Mhm.
Cardinals, they're kind of down and out. They're not really playing well. Jags need this win to stay ahead of the Chiefs too in that bottom spot here for the playoffs. They just came out there a little lethargic, and Arizona had some life to them. It was getting back and forth,
Yeah.
interceptions for the Jags, Trevor Lawrence. A tight game. You have a 3-point lead again, and you got a team that's hungry to just kind of play spoiler against you right now, that's playing with some fire, and you have a chip shot, field goal right there. Put them up by 6 again and force them to march the field down, in which they were having difficulty doing. And You let it back in it. They tie it up with that 3 points, go into overtime, and you were lucky to come out of there with a victory and a field goal. So that decision, and things like that, when it's guaranteed points like that, pretty much for you, there's no weather getting involved there and stuff. You got to
Yeah.
take the points, and that's bothered me. And that's one thing that stood out to me tonight or this past weekend. And then some of the other matchups, tight
I mean,
games, like we talked
coaches
about.
Yeah, coaches have to
Mhm.
be smarter. Like, I feel like at times, uh, some of the coaches, maybe even in the front office, some GMs and whatnot, they overthink their position. And instead of just doing what the common sense thing tells them, like, hey,
Mhm.
listen, you're up by 3. You kick a field goal, you're up by 6. You're going to have to force them to score a touchdown. And there's limited time. It's under 2 minutes. So your defense has been playing pretty decent. Kick the field goal, be up by 6. Now you're forcing all the pressure will fall on the Cardinals having to drive down the football field under a certain amount of time and to be able to score a touchdown, not just a field goal. And more times than not, you see the winning result happen for that team that kicks the field goal. So, yeah, Jim, I gotta say, like, there's been some questionable football decisions in certain situations every single week this year.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. And over the weekend, again, we saw some pretty good games, some surprising games. Some of the big games, the teams at the top fall and make this playoff picture a bit more interesting. And the
Oh yeah.
Rams, again, Rams look like they're just stepping out of the ashes and flexing as that true top seed in the NFC at this point right now with what they just did to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and
Yep.
dismantling them. And meanwhile, again, Baker Mayfield being injured in that whole situation too, to where he's put that whole team on his back too, and did a whole lot, to kind of get them where they were. And now
Yeah.
it wore out. The luck wore out here for them and what
Well,
he's
his
been able to
body's
do.
breaking
So,
down now. Like
mm,
he literally putting the team on his back when all of their starters were down with injuries. Chris Godwin returns, but wasn't enough to help Baker Mayfield. And there's still no sign of Mike Evans either coming back from injury, at least right not now. Um, a lot of questionable decisions were made on Todd Bowles' part too as well. This is a guy that came to Tampa Bay that was expected to not just turn this defensive team around, but also to become a dominant defense. And we're not seeing that. They've added a bunch of talent on that side of the football. Still, the same results are showing. And when you have a Baker Mayfield and an offense in totality that is, when they're all healthy, running on all cylinders, they're a very tough team to stop. But now they've been grinding it out so much that now your quarterback is beat up. Now, Bucky Irving it sounds like he's returning back to the lineup next or this week. So you get a little bit of help, but it's like no matter what they do on offense, it's still not making up for the lack of defense. And there might be conversations that are being had in Tampa Bay right now about that exact fact is that Todd Bowles just not getting the job done. He's got a good offense that he can lean on, but what's going on with the defense there, Todd? Not much. Maybe your seat's getting a little warm now.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is the key factor for them on that end. And you talk about defense too, as well. The Buffalo Bills saw some major defense here on Thursday. You called that one right there. The one thing with me is just I wasn't sure how Davis Mills was going to play again. Looking a little rusty, but though he's got
Mhm.
2 straight victories here and looking pretty good. That defense, again, if you can get CJ Stroud back and then he can get back
This
to
week.
form here, yeah. I mean, that could be a scary team here right now because it's the teams that make that late run, that late surge, and have a great defense here that can really make a push to go deep into the playoffs. And that could be a scary team, especially with the Buffalo Bills and what they're doing. They're just sinking right now. And it's just a key thing every single week that more teams are focusing on. We pressure and keep Josh Allen moving around and not comfortable at all. we've got this. It's over. And James Cook was even running efficiently, right? He was running efficiently. They're getting the ball to him early on. But again, it seemed they tried to change up and go pass happy again. And they played right into the trap of the Houston Texans.
Couple things. For the Texans, I have a pet peeve with Davis Mills. Why aren't you throwing to Nico Collins more?
Yeah.
Because holy smokes, whenever they were struggling and couldn't move the ball or needed that first down, right? It seemed like he was going out of his way to throw to the rookies. Like, you know what I mean? Like Higgins, Jaden Higgins, like
Yeah.
they were throwing to him
We practiced
often,
together.
and it looked like Higgins wasn't sure where he was on the football field half the time. Couldn't keep
Mhm.
2 feet in, sometimes only put 1 foot in. It's like, "Bro, it's
Yeah.
not college anymore. Wake up.
Yeah.
You're in the NFL. You need 2 feet." And then Davis Mills continued to go to the other players, instead of Nico Collins. It wasn't because they were blanketing Nico Collins. It was because he wasn't looking his direction, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Your best player on your offense, and you're not throwing the ball to him at least when he is open. Like there was a play where he still threw it to Higgins on the sideline for a first down. Higgins dropped the football, but instead, if he looked right down the tailpipe, right down the middle of the football field, guess who was open on a post? Nico Collins. And honestly, if it was an accurately thrown ball, it would have been a touchdown.
Mhm.
But geez Louise, like now that they are getting CJ Stroud back this week, you're going to have Stroud in that connection with Nico Collins, everybody else, of course. Um, and the Texans moved on from Damian Pierce at running back. They cut him. He's a free man. You know, he just signed today. So, and then so for the Buffalo Bills, I'll say this: you need to figure something out in the offseason. You can't figure it out now on defense. You've kind of missed on some picks for defenders, and it seems like they continue to get hurt.
Mm.
Again, their rookie corner who just came
Yeah.
back from injury also sustained an injury in that game. He left the game. You know, you have guys that Joey Bosa, where were you in
Yeah.
this game? Like
Yep.
I didn't see any impact from him. At times you saw a little bit of pressure on his side, but they still washed him out. You know, and it's like, dude, you're not playing playoff football right now. All the pressure is on Josh Allen. We've said this 100 times this season that he
Mhm.
needs help. Well, their form of help right now is they just signed Brandon Cooks. Just got cut, was a
Mhm.
free agent. Now they're going to have at least some speed on the outside
Mhm.
that maybe that might help them for their playoff push. For even if they make the playoffs, maybe even they can go further. But I tell you right now, they still got a lot of question marks. They don't have enough time to answer them all,
Right.
and it's still going to continue to be a tough hill to climb for them to stay in the playoff race, if you
Right.
will.
And,
Where the
and
Texans now they might be flipping positions, where
Mhm.
the Texans have beaten them. They got the tiebreaker on them. So if it comes
Yeah.
down to at the end of the season where, oh,
Mhm.
Buffalo and Houston, well, guess what? Houston gets the tiebreaker. They're in. Buffalo's not.
Yeah, because the Patriots, their schedule is very favorable for them.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think the Bills are catching them. So they got to look at where they're seated right now. And like you said, you just lost to now somebody that's contending for that spot,
Mhm.
and they're on the downhill turn. And meanwhile, again, I think Sean McDermott's job in seat's going to get a lot hotter because it's one thing, and I get it. You want to make a disciplinary move against a player, that's fine to try and make an example and stuff. But if you're in a playoff hunt or you're trying to get things right, taking a quote unquote weapon away from Josh Allen to prove a point isn't exactly the best time to do so when you're trying to get back to winning. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Let's take a
Yeah.
receiver off the board automatically, whether he's got something going on outside of football, but then you're even trying to get better on the field, but he can't
Yeah.
get better if he's not on the field. So
True.
I
Very true.
think that's why I think if they, again, the Buffalo Bills can't make the playoffs or they're lower and they're like a one and done,
Mhm.
that seat's got to be hot by now. So, all right. So, let's shift now to the Thanksgiving games here in our big main feast here for the show. Let's kick things off with the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. They square off in a pivotal division clash. Both teams desperate for a win as they chase down the surging Chicago Bears, now revitalized under new head coach Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and company. Who would have thought that, Joe? Oh my goodness. But what it is these teams are just, they're, what do you call that? You know, the monkey, the football, or what? They're just, we squeaking the duck. Like, these teams are good, and they allowed like the Bears to kind of get back into this, you know, talk here. Meanwhile, the Vikings are what the Vikings are, right? They're a decent team without a quarterback. Just not good.
And they thought they had their quarterback. You know, JJ McCarthy,
we talked about it, right?
Continues to show the reasons why he was drafted too early. Probably should have stayed in school another year. We all knew that the development wasn't completely there. We know all rookie quarterbacks, when they get drafted, they have to continue to develop to get better. And for JJ McCarthy, really only a one full-time starter for the College of Michigan. He excelled in that 1 year, and that's why it led to a lot of teams falling in love with JJ McCarthy. Minnesota punching that ticket, drafting him, and even allowing Sam Darnold to leave the building to go elsewhere, not knowing the real reason of, like, okay, do we have complete confidence in JJ? Like, do we know for a fact, like, in our hearts, like, this is our guy? And because of no on game, really, like, evidence, like, is like they just kind of rolled the dice, said, hey, you know what? We're gonna make this move. Sam Darnold goes, he signs a contract that he signs, he's with Seattle. JJ gets handled the reins. What do we see? We see a lot of lackluster, you know, just kind of straight up, like, we're gonna create a play at a nothing, kind of like what Caleb Williams was doing in his rookie year, just trying to figure things out, throwing the ball around once in a while, running around the pocket, trying to escape. And now we're seeing JJ McCarthy make all the wrong decisions, whether that be throwing into double coverage when the pressure is there, breaking the pocket too early, taking off, not trusting his offensive line to keep that pocket for him. And a lot of times, the reason why he's gotten the accolades that he has is because of his legs, is when he does break the pocket and he can run for 20 yards and get that first down. It's all well and good, but when the defenses start getting tougher, like they have been, and starting to, now they got a little bit of footage on JJ. They're like, oh, these are his tendencies. This is what he likes to do. He likes to escape the pocket often in almost every play, not sticking to the play. So defenses are now taking down all their notes every single week, and now they're more apt and ready to play against him, and it shows on the football field. Listen, I saw a crazy thing where just past week, I've never seen a quarterback have minus 100 yards in the first half, and like, not much has changed. Like, Jordan Addison never even caught a ball.
Yeah.
The whole game.
It's like stuff you do when you play Madden, like on the easiest setting. You know what I mean? If you're like a noob that first starts playing, you're like, dude, I'm going to just thwomp this game, you know, right? And the quarterback has negative yards, you know, just because he's getting sacked nonstop and things.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what this team is. And it's sad because the Vikings, for them to make this move, and that's why we questioned it in the offseason, right? And that's why, again, I make that joke about Mr. Deeds with the, you know, crazy eyes in the Ferrari. That's exactly what happened. This is what happened. You put all your chips in. You didn't bring Sam Darnold back in. You didn't go get somebody else. You're like, all the chips are in. We got all these great players. You got a good defense. And we're giving the keys to JJ McCarthy because we just trust that we're right and this guy's going to be great. And it's not happening. And not everybody on this team has forever. They're ready to win now. And you're just wasting it away. Right.
And talk about wasting it away, Jim. This is something that I found out probably a couple days ago. But did you know that the NFL's all-time leaders in career receiving yards per game, and this is all time now. This isn't just like, oh, in today's NFL. This is all time in the NFL. Number one is Justin Jefferson with 94. All time. And you're wasting his talents, JJ.
Yeah.
You're wasting it.
Right.
Other guys that are still there, like you look at we just talked about the Rams. Puka Nacua is second all time
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
89.9 yards, and then
Right.
to finish it off at 3, Jamar Chase. All of these guys are active. All these guys are in today's NFL, and they already are the all-time leaders in career receiving
Yeah,
yards
that's
per game.
craziness. Well, just goes to
So,
show you too where the league's going too as well.
yeah,
But in
throw
that
throw the
game,
ball.
one key part as we set up for the lead up for this Detroit Lions and Packers matchup, the early game here on Thanksgiving Day.
Mhm.
Um, the Packers defense has really stepped up lately, right?
Oh,
And
yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
know, Micah Parsons again getting 2 sacks in that game. Isaiah McDuffie also filling in for some injuries, making some plays and being part of that win too. On top of it, and
Mhm.
forcing, you know, JJ McCarthy to intercept, you know, throw 2 interceptions, and they held him only to 145 yards, the lowest since 2019 that the Packers defense has done that. So playing better that way, but that offense not looking so good again. You know what I mean? Spitting and sputtering. So I think if it wasn't for that defensive matchup of what they're doing, and who they played at that particular spot, you know, I would like to see the Packers playing a little bit better, more balanced offensively for them moving forward to be a real good contender.
Right.
I'm not saying they're terrible, but
Well
again,
I mean, it does happen when your number 1 running back goes down with
no, I get
injury,
that.
and so it does change the game plan,
Mhm.
a little bit. But on the plus side of things, it does seem like they have a lot of, faith in Wilson, the backup running back for them, Emmanuel
Yeah.
Wilson. Like,
Hmm.
he's been doing a really good job in the absence of Josh Jacobs, and honestly, like, I don't know what it means for this Thursday game, but for the Packers, I think they're gonna, look at Josh Jacobs as the week goes. Probably be a game time decision. I think they're gonna try him out in warm-ups and just see how he feels. But honestly, it's a short week, so why push it? Let Emmanuel Wilson get his time to shine, and let's see what they can do. They have been playing better on defense. Offense, man, I'm sorry, but they continue to disappoint. Jordan Love,
Hmm.
it's not all his fault because his receivers aren't helping him much either. They're dropping the football left and right. But I will say this: they got a little bit of good news in the fact that Jaden Reed is closer to returning. I don't think it's going to be this Thursday, but he is right around the corner. So, the chemistry is really good between him and Jordan Love. But man, I gotta say, Love's got to step up. The receivers got to step up in order for them to have a chance because the Detroit Lions, they're not here to mess around. Like we
No.
know that they are a very physical team. They give it 110% every single snap, all game long until it's triple zeros. So I expect for the Detroit Lions in this matchup, I expect them to come in, kind of reset themselves in a sense, where I don't know if at any point in time uh, Mr. Campbell's gonna give back the play calling duties,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
I wish he would and just
Hmm.
concentrate on, making the calls during the game. But maybe that happens, probably not. But I think this team is one of those teams where, like, maybe if they catch fire, maybe this is the pivot point for them where if they can pull off a win against Green Bay, then this can turn into big time momentum for the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. And again, in the fact that it is a divisional matchup.
Right.
So you're trying to get back into it against the Browns again, or against the Bears rather.
Bears,
Um,
yeah.
so you need to get climbing back in there and again make the playoffs here. You're looking to be
Mhm.
at least 2 or 3 of these teams into the playoffs. Um, and both have their pros and their cons, right? The way the Packers defense is playing, they kind of suspect, you know, in the passing game, but they can stop the run. So they can get pressure if they can, but you know, in the backfield, not so impressive to where you're going to see Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams be effective. But recently, for the offensive side of the Lions, not protecting Jared Goff like they were previous years, still effectively running the ball. So I think the game plan
Yeah.
for the Lions in this one, control the line of scrimmage, just control the ball with running the ball, keep it going here. Jahmyr Gibbs, even sprinkling a little, you know,
David
some
Montgomery.
David Montgomery on top of it. And then that'll open up your passing game a little bit too. You can, play
Right.
against here. But if they drop back and pass, and Micah Parsons and the rest of this pass rush is getting there, there's going to be problems. It's going to be a long time here for the Lions again. And like you said, Dan Campbell calling the plays, not looking so hot right now. They're going to have to pull another rabbit out of their hat to pull out a win in this one if that's the case.
Yeah, that's the problem too, though, is I think that Dan Campbell feels like he needs to pass a lot with this team when you really don't. Like,
Mhm.
look at what Jameer Gibbs did for
Yeah,
you last week. Where listen, I don't care if the dude runs or total yards of 300 yards. If
yeah,
that's what's working, stick with it
yeah,
until the defense stops it. So, and the fact that Amon-Ra just not being part of the major part of the offense like he once was when Dan Campbell wasn't calling plays, it's like, just stop trying to reinvent the wheel here.
yeah.
Give Jim Bob Cooter back the playbook. Let him make the calls. That way, everybody can eat, and not just a couple players.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. They're lucky to come out of there. If they lost to the Giants there,
Ooh,
that would have been brutal. That would have
mm,
been a really rough mountain to climb here to get back into us. You know what I mean? So that's going to be a great matchup. I'm excited to see that one. I don't know how the
absolutely.
outcome's going to come out. I mean, I can see it going either
I can't
way.
wait.
It's
Listen,
about, the Lions defense against those receivers that continuously drop the ball. Both teams trying to effectively run, but the Lions, again, some better receivers here at this point on the field.
at least we're going to get a couple of great games on Thanksgiving
This might be the
because
best like Thanksgiving Day games
yes,
lineup
yes,
ever of all
I have
time.
to agree. I have to agree because we've had some shit storms on
Yes.
Thanksgiving the past several years. Obviously it's always going to be Detroit. It's going to be Cowboys on these
But I
games.
think
But
some of
man, oh
that
man,
too. Yeah, and some of
I,
that too is the fact that the Lions are always on it, and they've been terrible for decades. You know what I mean? So now the fact that
it's
they're good,
tradition.
and now that the NFL is even looking at this and like, hey, this is when everybody's watching. We're going to put our best matchups, and they're going to be divisional matchups or playoff contending kind of things, or with implications to playoffs. On this one, this is going to be great, dramatic football. And we also have Black Friday games out too, so that's pretty amazing. That's good
Love
stuff
it.
too.
Keep extending more games so I
Yeah.
can watch more
So
every day.
absolutely. So then we're going to shift to the two of the league's biggest brands, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys, who each pulled off dramatic comeback victories in their playoff dreams, staying alive. That's right, like the Bee Gees. And now they're still set to collide in a must-win showdown that could make or break their seasons right now, Joe. Slow starts for both teams. Kansas City just kind of just breezes through, just kind of rights the ship on their own, trying to settle things together, but really setting on the fact that their defense is playing really tight. They've got a top 5 defense in many, levels here, holding on that, and Patrick Mahomes being able to get open and make some plays here for them despite not having a running game. And the Cowboys now making deals at the trade deadline to improve that defensive pass pressure has improved because that offense has already looked real, real good. And again, I've said it before, and somebody even came up to me Monday, said, hey, it took me a little bit to admit it, but you were right that George Pickens, he's number one receiver on that team. I mean, it's like CeeDee Lamb, see ya, take a back seat, buddy. Because again, Pickens, you throw it up there, he's grabbing it. Whether he's still pushing off or not, he's snagging that thing. CeeDee Lamb, again, suspect times, just drops the ball. He's just got those brain dead moments, just drops it here and there.
It's
And he's just like
more
the side piece for them.
I wouldn't go that far. CD Lamb and George Pickens are both going to be hand in hand, like the top weapons that you're going to have to defend every single week. You're not going to just overlook CD Lamb and just pay more attention to George Pickens. It's difficult for defenses that way. CD Lamb may have dropped the ball once or twice here and there, but still, when it comes down to clutch moments, like he's going to rise to the occasion, just like Pickens does. That's what makes the Cowboys offense so tough to stop. Like we thought in the offseason, we thought like, well, they struggled on running the football the year prior. It didn't look like they really brought in any kind of high end running back or even drafted one. They seemed pretty content with Javante Williams. And I gotta say, at his time in Denver, I was like, yeah, they got Javante Williams. I'm like, this guy didn't even do well in Denver. What am I? But hey, kudos to the Dallas Cowboys. Kudos to them for bringing him on and coaching him up because he's definitely playing better as a football player. So now they do have a running game with that young offensive line, with these weapons, and Dak Prescott healthy. That's what's basically kind of keeping them on life support. And now, with the Cowboys making these trades, Logan Wilson, middle linebacker from the Bengals, Quinnen Williams from the Jets, one of the all-pro D tackles in this league. Now you're putting him up, and they're getting healthier. Demarion Overshone returned back to the lineup.
Mm.
Savon Ravel, the rookie, returned to the lineup. So you're getting all these players back. Oh, and by the way, their safety came back or the week of when they played the Raiders. They're healthier now, and now you're seeing a different Dallas Cowboys team that kind of weren't really expecting in the beginning of the year, but man, they've really surprised at this point in the season. What a great time in the season for Dallas Cowboy fans. Now they have something to look forward to, a team that is competent, a team that is competitive. And this matchup right here against the Kansas City Chiefs in Dallas, by the way, this is not in Kansas City,
Mhm.
even though it seems like Kansas City's always home.
Yeah.
It's in Big D here. This is definitely a opportunity for the Dallas Cowboys to kind of pin their ears back on defense and rack up the points on offense and try to keep the Chiefs out of it.
Right, right. And let's talk about just quick the two games that kind of led to this matchup right here and those comeback victories. The Chiefs and Colts game, the offense for the Colts had 4 consecutive 3-and-outs in the fourth quarter and overtime, gaining only 6 total yards in the fourth quarter. That was the key to that game. You had a lead. You were punishing this team. Like they were showing that, hey, we're a contender. We're for
Yeah,
real.
they're
Like we
legit.
were asking for this, right?
Yeah.
And then you decide to, or again, for some reason, and I don't know why we've criticized head coaches for this all the time.
Mhm.
Your best player, Jonathan Taylor, is not effective or not being used in the fourth quarter when you need to kill clock. You need to score, and you drop back and you pass and you put on Daniel Jones, and you just feed right into what Kansas City does best, and that's when they shine.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor had one of his lowest amount of carries this season with only 16 carries, had 58 yards. That's on average 3.6 yards a carry. Wasn't very successful on the ground, but what do you do if your running back who is a baller isn't just churning out the yards? Put him in the passing game. He didn't receive one reception in this entire game, which to me is
Mhm.
blasphemy. This is the
Yeah.
guy that's been propelling your team for the most part, running this offense. And he's been able to capitalize on every opportunity. Now that he had a little bit of pushback from the Kansas City Chiefs defense, you just completely disregard him and don't even utilize him like you have been all year. You've been utilizing this guy in the passing game on screens, on straight up just him running routes out of the backfield and dumping it off to him. And when he's in the open, he makes magic happen. But you didn't see that in this matchup against Kansas City. Maybe they learned some things after this loss. Maybe they said, well, we should have used him more. Like it doesn't make sense why he was
Mhm.
such a prominent part of this offense to like all of a sudden on the big stage against the Kansas City Chiefs, you kind of used them, but then you're like, well, this isn't working. We need to throw the ball. No.
Yeah.
The reason
Right.
why your offense is so good is because Jonathan Taylor is the threat. You utilize him, and then you capitalize off of that threat with Daniel Jones throwing the ball. Didn't
Right.
see that enough in this game. Kansas City
Mhm.
was able to, you know, come back in this game. Essentially, they shouldn't have. The Colts
No, they
had they
shouldn't have.
had this, they had it. They had the driver's
Mhm.
seat. They could have
Mhm.
easily upset this team, and then it would have created a huge reaction on Monday. Everybody would have been talking about the Colts, but instead we're talking about how the Chiefs are now coming back and fighting their way back into the playoffs.
Yep, absolutely. And then now let's go to the Dallas and the Philly game. Philly again coming out strong early as well, and then
Mhm.
crickets again.
Right.
And by the fourth quarter, just terrible ball management, right? They're still driving to score to go up for the game winning solidifying score in Dallas territory deep. And Saquon Barkley, which he doesn't cough it up very often, but it seems like in crucial
No,
times it's
right.
there. Coughs it up with a turnover. That made things situations bad. But then even worse on, the return, the kick return, muffed the return, and he puts Dallas right there easily to come right back in and bang, bang, just like that. And you're back into it. And with a Dallas offense, again, that we've talked about, they're a pretty lethal offense, especially now with the addition of George Pickens.
Mm-hmm.
You're handing it to them. See you later. It's it. And so they had all the momentum. They're in their house. That place is rocking, and that's what you don't want either.
Right.
Dallas Cowboys and their in their home advantage. That's big. We again today I'm talking to a couple of guys that also do another show on TikTok, right? One's an Eagles fan, and I'm saying, dude, what happened there? What's this? He's like, no, not worried about it. I'm like, you should be. You should be. That's a divisional rival that you're giving hope to, that you just lost to on their turf. You can't do that. You got to win that. And then he's like, well, whatever, we're still going to make the playoffs. I'm like, you want the number one seed if you are the Eagles. Because if you have to go anywhere else, that's a different story. Because when you go to Philly,
Eagles
it's
team.
different. Mm-hmm.
This is a different Eagles team, too. This isn't the same Eagles team that we saw last year run through a lot of people pretty easily and then get into the Super Bowl. Great matchup, and they end up dominating the Chiefs. Like, this is a much different Eagles team. Yeah, don't get me wrong. They still have the nucleus. They still have most of the players still here with the same roster. And they are getting healthier too, which will help. But when you score 21 points in the first half, and then in the second half you score 0, none,
Mm-hmm.
nil, nothing. So that is a major problem. What happened in the second half? What did you change? Or is it the fact that the Cowboys just dominated you?
Mm-hmm.
And now, like you said, Jim, like you should be concerned because here's a Dallas team that pretty much didn't have, I won't say confidence because the players in the team always, you know, uh believed in each other. But they just had no momentum, I'll say. Like they were tripping over their feet. The offense had to bail out the defense pretty much the whole first half of the season. And here we are now with a very different Cowboys team. The defense is healthier. The defense has been improved. And you just can't discard this and say, as an Eagles fan, it's only one game. We're going to make the playoffs anyway. Like, no, this is a problem because now what if the Dallas Cowboys storm back? What if the Eagles trip up a little bit? And now those roles are reversed where the Dallas Cowboys are winning the division at the end of the year. And
Mm-hmm.
and now it's the playoffs. Guess what? The Eagles made the playoffs, but guess what? Guess who you're visiting again? You're in Dallas.
Yep.
And a divisional matchup in the playoffs. That is not something the Eagles want to do. They want to
Exactly.
avoid that as much as possible. You can't overlook this game because this right here was an exclamation point for the Dallas Cowboys. This was
Yep.
to prove a point to everybody watching and everybody that saw the highlights afterwards. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
damn, this Cowboys team is legit again. This
Mm-hmm.
team, for at least this year, looks like they can maybe do some damage in the play, not just make the playoffs, but also do damage and surprise some people. So the Eagles, I don't know what they're doing. 8-3. The Cowboys right now are 5-5-1. Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but it could happen. With what we've seen from the Philadelphia Eagles and at times struggle on offense and at times have struggled on defense. I'll tell you, don't drop the ball. Do not let this opportunity slip. You have the lead, maintain it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, and with the Cowboys playing with momentum, and they're really inspired by Marshawn Nealon's death, that they've kind of brought that to them and playing with that passion too. they've brought that upon their shoulders here and kind of being that part of their driving force. So now, just like when Philly was like the underdog days when they won with Nick Foles, it seems like this is what the Cowboys are doing. We're
Yeah.
not the Cowboys. Hey, we're expecting to make the playoffs. It's our year again. They're like, we're down from the depths. We've had a tie. We're under 500. Now we're there getting above. We've got inspiration too. We've lost a brother. Here we're going. You know what I mean? So they're playing inspired, and that could
Tons
be
of
a dangerous thing too.
not to mention all the doubters. And
Mhm.
I hate it when mass media doubts a team and all of a sudden they tend to turn it around and now
Yeah.
and they act like they never thought they were garbage. They act like
Yeah.
they oh well I didn't say that. I didn't say you guys
Yeah.
weren't going to make the play. Come on, stop it.
Right.
This is one of those teams. I'm sorry, myself included. I put
Mhm.
myself on there. I thought the Cowboys weren't going to do anything this year. I thought they weren't going to make the playoffs.
No,
But
neither did I.
they
But
made
they made
the
the moves though
changes.
too, right?
They've
Mhm.
the correct changes. They've gotten healthier. That's another big thing. And they look like a completely different team.
All right, so here we go. That sets up this matchup. It's gonna be, oh man, what a tight game here. It's one of those games though, again, Joe, and I think I make this joke quite often, but I mean it is pretty much seriously like it's like I hate both these teams. I really don't like them. You know what I mean? You don't like you don't like the Chiefs. I don't like the Cowboys.
Naturally,
I don't want either of the wins. So it's almost like, do I want to get, shot in the mouth or stabbed in the eye? Like what is it? Which would I rather want? I don't want either, but
right?
something's gonna happen. So like
Yes.
what is it?
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to watch, just to watch the game. I'm
Yeah.
rooting for a tie. Again, maybe we've seen one already. Hopefully
That's
the
not happening.
Cowboys, you can do this again with this one.
Not with these
Um,
offenses.
no, but again, I brought up the fact that the Chiefs, again, top tier defense, ranking high in points allowed per game. They're fourth right there in total yards per game. They're sixth. So that's their strength right now. Patrick Mahomes willing his way, to getting the team involved here. But again, that offense still lack of production here, lack of running game. You saw a little bit here with Kareem Hunt getting back to some stuff, but they are getting Isaiah Pacheco back healthy this week, I think. So
I
that'll be a
think this
key for
week,
them on this part.
not to mention the other intriguing thing that can kind of throw a wrench into the backfield of Kansas City is going
Hmm.
forward. They signed Damian Pierce
Hmm.
to the practice squad for now until he learns the playbook. After that point, anybody's guess on who could be the starting running back for the Chiefs. I mean, honestly, or maybe they just do a three-headed backfield, but um, pretty interesting to see what Kansas City does with that whole situation. But again, I'm what I'm really intrigued about with this matchup is I cannot wait to see the Cowboys D line versus the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line.
Yeah.
That to me is going to be awesome. You have some of the best D tackles in the game today for the Cowboys going up against the best interior offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be Goliath versus Goliath. I can't wait.
Yeah, yeah. How many false starts on the right tackle here
Jawan
for the
Taylor.
Juwan Taylor?
Oh, let's just say this.
Was there
Let's
a parlay? Is
is
there
there a
a bet we could do on that? We got to do
is
a,
there a
a
over
FanDuel or
under
something on that.
on
Oh yeah,
5?
prop bet on that
We'll
one,
we'll
right?
put the
Fine.
prop. We'll put 5 as the over under. You know,
Mm,
do you do
yeah.
you think he can get? Will it be over 5? Will it be under 5? I feel like that's a good number to start with for
Hmm.
Juwan Taylor.
Hmm.
Listen, we know that he's struggled all year with this. Whether he's lining up, causing um, poor formations and illegal formation, and then also false starting like crazy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna he's got to limit those mistakes for sure. Andy Reid has told him that he's not giving him any more cheeseburgers until he stops getting penalties, but we'll see.
Oh man. All right. So yeah, key matchup for me, like you said, is that line versus the pressure of the Cowboys. Can Patrick Mahomes get out, make some plays, or will they be able to contain him? And I want to see the matchup here with Pickens versus Trent McDuffie. I want
They're
to
a
see how
fast
that pans out.
Yeah.
So that's going to be
Well,
interesting, and I want to see how physical that gets.
to your point, Jim, about CD Lamb kind of like being like, oh, well, he's not no longer seen as the number one like top dog in Dallas anymore. this is where it's interesting. What do the Kansas City Chiefs do? Because I feel like you're in a predicament regardless, whether you double team CD or you double team George. You know what I mean? Because like one or
Hmm.
the other is going to have a big day. I feel like no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And with Dak Prescott, the way he's been playing recently, this game is going to be close. Like
Oh yeah.
no matter what happens, like even if let's just say the Chiefs, I feel like this is going to be a high scoring game. Like even though they have, well, I'll say the Chiefs have a really good defense, right? The Cowboys, we still have to see if they can continue to prove it. Um, but despite the defenses, despite the players that are on both sides of the field, I kind of expect this game to be like a high scoring offensive
Oh yeah.
type of type of game
Yeah.
here.
I think that's what's going to happen in this one too, as well. Yeah, I don't know what the points overall points is, but I would say it's definitely going to be, probably
I
70
think it's
points
gonna be
at
above
least.
50. Yeah, it's gonna be above
I'd say at
55.
least 70 points. Yeah. All right. So and then finally now let's move on to the night game, which brings us to the Baltimore Ravens. Buckle
Mhm.
up, ladies and gentlemen. And the Cincinnati Bengals in a heated AFC North rivalry game. Joe Burrow returns from injury, hoping to claw the Cincinnati Bengals back into contention, while Lamar, though, still hasn't looked quite the same since he's returned to the field, too. Can the Bengals clip the Ravens' wings and flip the division on its head? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right.
It it just sucks because you see what they're able to do even with Joe Flacco. Like they were still in that game even last week, right?
Mhm,
Uh doing everything they can. But I feel like now you insert Joe Burrow into
mhm.
this game is tighter, especially with the way
Yeah,
the Ravens have been playing. Like this is no walk in the park at all. And Joe Burrow, he's like been dying to play a Thanksgiving Day game. That's why he
mhm.
was inspired even to come back early and to play in this game. He's going to be on fire for this one.
A lot of people were asking Joe Burrow in his press conference, like, what's the real reason why you wanted to come back? It's kind of later in the season. The team is 3-8. What's the point? And Burrow's like, listen, I'm a football player, number one. And as a football player, I always want to play no matter what. So if I'm healthy, I'm gonna be there with my guys, and we're gonna play football and see if we can win a game. Like he's not giving up on the season, even though it looks pretty much like it's dead in the water. Like I think we looked at the percentage for the
Mhm.
Bengals. I think they
Yeah,
still have
it
life,
was
but
like
it's like
well,
1%
not much.
or
Yeah.
something like that. Um, but it's like one more loss, and the Bengals you can pretty much just write off. They're pretty much excluded from the playoffs. So um, it'll be a big win for Cincinnati if they can figure out a way to do that against Baltimore because it's a divisional rival. And of course you want to spoil it for them. You don't want them to keep winning. And a Ravens team that's storming back at 6-5, they started off 1-5, and now they've stormed back to 6-5. This is something that the Ravens want. They want to continue to win, become 7-5, and that's what they're expecting to do on Thursday. But I got to tell you, with Joe Burrow coming back, because Joe Flacco last week, he looked bad at quarterback for Cincinnati. Like, and you could also say, oh well, he didn't have Jamar Chase, his suspension, da 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 da. But man, like some of the decisions that Flacco was making last week, it was like, what happened? Like, did you forget how to play? Now that they're going to have Joe Burrow back, it definitely kind of gives a spark to the offense, to the team. Even he's going to come back. He's going to dice it up with Jamar Chase, and however, they will not have T. Higgins. That's the other part
No,
of this
that
game
was
is
one
that
thing. Mhm.
he's not gonna be available for this game. So it sucks, but at the same time, they're getting back their guy at quarterback, which I think is gonna help them at least offensively. Now, can the defensive coordinator for the Bengals figure out some kind of a scheme or even a game plan to go against Lamar Jackson and this Baltimore Ravens offense? Like that's really what this game we all know this is not a uh multiple equation to try to figure out here. Uh the Bengals offense is good. It's can the defense hold up against this Ravens team? So big tall order to ask for them. I'm not sure if they'll be able to handle it because even though the Ravens, again, I think they didn't have Wiggins this week. I don't know what his status is going into Thursday, but um, I think for the Ravens, though, they just got to keep handling business like they've been doing. Like despite Lamar Jackson, who's beat up, who's got like 4 different injuries this season, he's still
Mm.
grinding through it, still making plays. You know, they just want to continue to win games and get back into this divisional race. Maybe even see if they can heighten their seed in the playoffs.
Well, it's definitely going to be tough this next couple of weeks because looking at their schedules again, they play a mix of each other. I mean, the Ravens are going to
Yeah,
play the Steelers twice. They're going to play the Bengals twice. So that if the Bengals can pull out a victory here or even take two, say the
mhm,
Steelers and Ravens go back again, they just played not too long ago and pulled out a victory. So if they can, get another win or loss here, they're also going to play the Browns. So one thing I will say and note that's not so good for the Bengals at least is if the Bills can kind of get it going here and get a victory against them in a tight knit game on December 7th. That'd be tough. But overall, the schedule, they could pull off some wins here. So if they end up just picking each other off back and forth and just muddle up this division, it could make it way more interesting. That would be pretty crazy. But the Ravens don't have an easy stroll here. They've got,
no,
they've got the Steelers, then the Bengals. Right again, back to back right after this, then the Patriots, then the Packers, and then the Steelers again. So Patriots right now are lights out on fire right now. The top
ooh,
team in the AFC right now. Packers still a contender too on top of it too with that defense. And if you're not getting Lamar Jackson at 100%, which I am sure we are not right now, that's a whole different story. He is just he's average. And you saw it this week too. When he was in the pocket trying to stand and make throws, he was missing receivers. He was getting the pressure there, getting hit, his arm. Even when he was indecisive and he decided to kind of go plan a run and kind of run to the side because he's hearing everybody that, oh, I'm not running enough. I'm going to go run in this one. He had an open, fullback right there for just a dish off that would have got even more yards than when he took off running. So he's making poor decisions because he's got all this
yeah.
other stuff in his brain and not in him doing what makes him special. And
Well, that's the
that's
thing.
the key here for them.
He's limited right now because of the injuries that he sustained, because he's still trying to play through them all. I feel like he's trying to protect himself as well, but by doing that, we've already seen this story before where he's just not a pocket quarterback. That's not who he is. And when he's limited by injuries and is forced to at times have to throw the football instead of take off when he probably would like to, it hurts his game. He's not that kind of guy. We all know that. So until he gets healthier, now I know that he pulled in a full practice. This was it today? Today he had a full practice, so it seems like he's going to be good to go. Like he's going to play. I just don't know
Mm-hmm.
what percentage of health he actually is, and I think we're going to have to see a dose of that this Thursday. See if he does turn into the Lamar of old and is going to mix in the pass and the run himself. But I will say this, the Ravens' last game against the Steelers in Pittsburgh, that is going to be a critical one. Like, I understand they have a tough gauntlet of games to get through before we get to Pittsburgh, but if they let's just say, for example, they beat the Bengals, then next week they beat the Patriots, right? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they lose to the Packers, but that Steeler game, that could be big time with deciding of maybe who wins the division at the end of it all. So, definitely going to be interested to see how the Ravens finish and can they finish and get healthier.
Absolutely. And keys for the game for me, again, the red zone for the Ravens. They've got a pretty good offense. Again, we know about the running. We know about some of the receivers that they have, but
Mhm.
in the red zone right now this year, they're the third lowest touchdown rate in the league. So against the team and a defense, we talk about giving up points and stuff like that,
Right.
but they are not a run stopping defense either as well. They've struggled significantly this year, allowing one of the highest averages in rushing yards in the NFL. So that will be the key. Run, run, run. That's what you got to do, Ravens, to win this one. Get back to what you do best. So We'll see, but
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm excited to see this one. I'm excited to see Joe Burrow back. I really think he can will this team to a win in this one, just because the Ravens are vulnerable. I think they are. They're playing with a clipped wing right now.
And we've seen this same matchup in the past couple of years where there's times that it kind of goes back and forth where Baltimore will win one game, Cincinnati will win another one. We've also even seen the Bengals sweep Baltimore before in outstanding upset form. So we'll have to see what kind of Joe Burrow we're getting too, because take this into account as well for this game. Burrow hasn't played. Like, he's been dealing with this injury, trying to get better, trying to come back. He hasn't played in several weeks, so there could be some rust that maybe the Baltimore defense can capitalize on. And it's going to be a tough battle, regardless. I don't expect a blowout on either end. I just don't like, even if the Ravens get a lead and it seems like they're going to pull away. I just feel like the Bengals are going to end up keeping it a game, keeping it close, and try to win it at the end. But again, I love the slate of games for Thanksgiving. It
Mhm.
I think this is probably the best one yet in terms of games and things that
As
are on
long
the
as the
line
games
for
live
both
up to the
teams.
hype. Mhm.
Yeah, things that are on
Absolutely.
the line for all the teams that are playing. So, and the storylines that we keep kind of diving into every single week.
All right, everybody. Again, we want to wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving out there too. Let us be one of the first out
Absolutely.
there. Hopefully, to everybody out there. Some of you guys that already have the rest of the week off, congratulations. But some of us are not so lucky. We'll be working tomorrow, and I know you guys are going to be enjoying some beverages too. On your long weekend here tomorrow, one of the biggest party nights of the week and of the
Used to
year.
be,
So it used
anyway.
to be. Yeah, back in my day, we used to really get down. But so with it being Thanksgiving, I like to do a pick six every year with my top picks for whatever theme we're doing. And it is Thanksgiving coming up here. So last year I did worse things about Thanksgiving. And I think even angry liberal, like relative screaming at you was one of them or something like that. Which I think was great. I think that image, I wish I could pull that image up though. It was classic. But so I went with the worst parts. So this year, and again, this is my opinion again too. So I'm not ranking top Thanksgiving sides, but I'm going to give everybody, in my opinion, my
6.
favorite six Thanksgiving sides, at least that I'm used to, that I have. And I just want to give an honorable mention to the baked mac and cheese. I'm new aboard onto that. Like, we never really had that for Thanksgiving and stuff. That I've had it during Christmas, stuff like that, but I would
Mhm.
never turn down baked macaroni and cheese. You know what I mean? That's just a classic anywhere and at any time. And add whatever you want in it too. It just makes it better. But here you go. My Thanksgiving sides here at number 6. Green bean casserole. I really love the green bean casserole, Joe. It's there. It's a
Good
good
one.
classic. It's just you think it's maybe healthy just because it has green beans in it, right? But you get all the other added junk in it too, the heavy cream and stuff that just makes it so good. It just sits like a log. Great for watching the game and eating some of that all on the side. All right, number 5 for me is the cranberry sauce. And whether you like it jellied or you like it mixed fresh, I like it all too. It's all good. I'll have both. I know my kids like the jelly, and some of the grown-ups like the stuff with the actual cranberries and all that stuff. Just give me both on top of that. I'll make a jelly mix, with it, with the cranberry sauce. I dump it all over to the turkey too, whatever. I mix. That's the thing about Thanksgiving too, which I really like with the foods. You can just mix it together and it tastes great. I mean, how many times do you see a feast that's for a holiday actually convert into a sandwich? And people have that, I mean, the turkey
Yeah.
dinner sandwich.
Thanksgiving
I mean, you
sandwich.
go get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's cranberry sauce is there at number 5. For me,
Okay.
no, number 4 is I gotta have sweet corn too. Just because I like the sweet corn with it all. And I get that. It's not a big major side, but mixing it with the food again, that sweetness with the rest of the stuff, it just kind of adds the extra for me on top of it. Off the list, I'll tell you guys even right now, which is probably a snub to some people and stuff. I'm not a sweet potatoes guy. I'm not.
Oh, come on.
So I'm this. That's not on the
Oh,
list, bro. And you can,
wow.
I would maybe scrape the marshmallow off of it, and you
Love
could
sweet
throw the
potatoes.
rest in the garbage. So
Love sweet
Who
potatoes.
knows? Maybe again, somebody will dope me up sometime and then feed it down me, and then maybe I'll change my mind. But to this day, I would never do it. So that's off the list. So hate me for it. Leave me some comments, some hate mail there. Don't forget to do that. So the top 3 here for me, again, dinner rolls, just because I mix it in with everything again. Got to have it buttered, nice, crunchy, but on the outside, but then soft on the inside. The dinner rolls are the highlight to everything around it that brings it all together with the turkey and all that stuff. For number 2, stuffing. And I like the stovetop. I like the stuff, the homemade too. Again, best is in the bird though, right? Everybody, you agree with that, Joe? The best stuffing is the stuffing that was in the bird, not just
Homemade.
something made on the side.
Yeah,
Homemade.
homemade.
Yeah.
And
In the
that's the
bird.
traditional way to do it, is like in the turkey, you
Yes,
know?
yes, absolutely. And then finally, for me, my number 1 is the mashed potatoes and the gravy, just because, again, you dump it all over the turkey. The turkey's there. You add the mashed potatoes, pour the gravy all over everything, whether the turkey's dry or it's still moist or whatever it might
That's what
be.
gravy's for.
The gravy's there. The gravy, and again, you dump the corn over top of it, almost like sprinkles on a sundae. There's the corn on it. Then I add my, roll up in there. And like I said, it's a big hodgepodge of everything. So that's
Where do you
my
think KFC
pick
got their
6.
idea for their fried chicken bowls? With the
Yeah.
mashed potatoes, the corn, the gravy, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's where it all came from.
Nice, nice,
Hate
nice.
mail. Do
Hate
not
mail.
invite me to Thanksgiving.
Oh man, boom. Damn.
There you go.
Yeah, see, there you
Get
go.
them, Will.
So
Get them.
yeah, sorry. I mean, what else do you guys do? What is off the list, Joe? Do you think besides the sweet potatoes, which I get? I'm
That
just
was
stubborn on that.
I
That's
love
probably a
sweet
key one,
potatoes.
right?
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
sweet potatoes. I mean, a lot of there's a lot of other like kind of traditional things like like squash, like acorn squash. I know a lot
Yep.
of people utilize and do. There's even like other items that I have never had for Thanksgiving that I've heard other people have, like, like collard greens, like, even some people not making turkey. I've heard of that. Like
Mm,
not sticking with the traditions and they're making something else, like they're making lasagna or
yeah,
something
yeah.
for Thanksgiving. I've heard of that too. So
Yeah.
listen, I mean
I'm
for
against
the
that.
most part, like I'm cool with whatever food that you enjoy. Have a good time. It's really the holidays all about getting together with family and friends.
Yeah.
And even if it's unfortunate and you don't have a large family or your family isn't around, share it with friends. Like just make it a great experience. Have a good time. Watch the games. Kick back, eat, drink, have a few laughs. That's what it's all about, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. And again, if I could have made a list about best things about Thanksgiving, but again, it would have been watching football. It probably would have been eating food while watching football, uh playing football in the backyard with everybody. Pretty boring, easy list. So
Yeah, don't forget about that too. Like people still do like Thanksgiving football games,
yeah,
the morning of
the
Thanksgiving, or
mashups.
maybe they do it Friday or Saturday,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just about getting together and having a good time.
All right. Yeah. So there you go. That's it. That's my pick 6 here for the week. I hope you guys enjoyed the show again. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there, to you and your
Happy
families. I hope you
Thanksgiving.
enjoy it. Everybody be safe out there as well. Eat whatever you're going to eat, and that's fine. Again, I'm a big turkey guy. You can save Christmas for whatever else you're going to do, Um, but, uh, but yeah, so that's it. Joe, again, tell everybody where they can find more episodes of the Blindside Blitz and other great uh sports podcast here by Grumblings Media.
Yeah, before we even get into that, want to say everybody, thank you guys for the support. Put down in the comments down below anything that we've talked about. Want to hear your opinions as well. Make sure you comment and let us know what you guys feel like. What's your top 6? Um, you know, Thanksgiving, things that you want to put on the table. But it's real simple to help further support the show. Head over to YouTube for us. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up while you're there. Definitely helps us out. And don't forget to tell a friend by sharing the video to everyone you know and love. We will see you
All right.
guys in the following week.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. One last comment before we roll out. My mother-in-law cooked pork tenderloin. The look I gave the
Oh,
better half, the first And last time that happened.
Oh, jeez.
But pork tenderloin is
Looks
good.
good
But
too.
again, for the holiday, for Thanksgiving, stuff like that, yeah, it's very odd. So again, you've got Christmas and all these other ones. So you could have all that other stuff any other time, right? You save it
Right.
for the tradition. That's what you do. So yeah, that's it for the show. We really appreciate you guys again, and we'll see you guys in the next one.